Hi everyone, welcome to Buckle Up Podcast. I'm Natalia Earle and I'm a certified business and life coach that loves talking to people. I'm fascinated by humans and how our brain works. What is it that makes a decision good or bad, and how does that decision ultimately shape our path and destiny? Everyone loves to talk about success, but what about the flip side? How about adversity? Failure is such a big and often necessary part of life, and it's simply unavoidable. So I invite you to join me on this inspiring, honest, unpolished interview show with breathtakingly real conversations that go deep on setbacks and hardships that are part of the puzzle that ultimately lead to growth, discovery of inner greatness, and what makes us resilient. Grab your helmet and buckle up, people. It's going to be a bumpy ride. But what a ride it will be. Today's guest, Geoff Speyrer, served 12 years in the Army as a combat engineer and an infantryman. While deployed to Iraq, he was a lead vehicle gunner on an EOD escort and security team, as well as on route clearance. When returning home from Iraq, Geoff didn't realize or understand what PTSD and TBI was until he was so deep into addiction and selling drugs that he didn't even know how to ask for help, nor did he really want it. For the next 13 years, Geoff would suffer from suicide attempts, incarceration after incarceration, different institutions, and 5.5 years of being a fugitive. It wasn't until the last incarceration that he found his fire for life and decided that he would invest as much energy into rebuilding his life as he did destroying it. Geoff knew he was destined for more than that pit of hell he was living in. So you served for 12 years and then coming back home, I know you touched on it. What was it like? Did you feel like I don't belong here, I don't fit in?
I had a lot of resentment towards like everybody. So when you go, I feel like for myself, going through the type of situations that we went through out there and stuff like that, I worked with, my unit was attached to EOD. So we did EOD escort and security missions. I was a gunner on a Humvee out there. I we also did route clearance missions, which if you don't know what that is, that's like riding down the road basically at 3 miles an hour, 3 to 5 miles an hour. You have to maintain these distances between each vehicle. You got these warlocks, frequency jammers, and all that good stuff that's going on to protect you from anything that's like radio det or wirelessly detonated or something like that. Anything that's going to have like a frequency or a cell phone on it, hopefully, right? So it won't stop anything command det. So like if it's attached to an actual like det cord and shock tube and detonating device and stuff like that, then it's obviously not going to stop a hardwired IED. But coming home after the deployment that we had, the resent that I had towards people, and then like I had a couple people that after a while, were like, man, you gotta, like, how are you not over that yet? And I'm like, you wouldn't even know because you were never there, right? Like, so that was the first feeling of complete detachment that I felt from everybody. I already knew I was different. I already knew that the situation that had taken place changed who I was, everything. And not just that, it's just I had changed into a completely different person, and I was mad at a lot of people for situations that took place in my relationship, situations that took place in this. And what I really didn't understand was the amount of ownership that I needed to take for these situations. People were like, but man, you didn't. My life just really started falling apart. I I was in the strip clubs all the time and doing drugs and selling drugs and just trying to basically kind of maintain a habit that was forming. I got really, really hard off or really bad off into selling drugs and the street life and all that stuff. I was given medication to help with some of the issues that I was having with like night terrors and just like the stress that I was dealing with. Um, and I was put on some medication to help with that and by the military. And then my leg got messed up. I developed compartment syndrome. Um, Ended up in the hospital. They did a fasciotomy on it, cut it open. And then some unfortunate situations took place with the leadership that I had, and I lost my TRICARE. So, and people
And
don't know how to help you either necessarily.
right,
At this point in time in 2004, 2005, uh, they I don't think anybody was really ready for the amount of trauma and whatever like that was going to come back with everybody, right? Or
right,
that, because I mean, you didn't necessarily exactly, and this is another thing that I didn't realize was that I had resentment towards anybody that didn't go to combat or like that wasn't like in the thick of the shit, right? Like if you didn't have to fight for anything, I was just like, oh, you didn't really do anything. And that was very like shitty on my part. That was not cool of me. That was like, and ever since then, I've done so much, like I've had so much growth in the past, like 15 years. And I mean, this isn't something that actually, that I even gained appreciation for until after, like I was getting sober, until after I had been incarcerated this last time, like a little over 3 years ago. That's not even like, I felt that way all the way up until the past couple of years. Like I just had resentment towards people. I was just like pissed off at the world. I didn't know how, like, I was just mad at everybody because I felt like it was, what it was? It was a victim's mindset. I felt entitled to certain things. And that was wrong. Now I believe in like literally working for everything,
right,
I feel like that if you're not working and you're not, working hard and you're not, trying to, instead of being a victim, being a victor, like it's the only thing cool about being a victim is overcoming that shit.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And like leaving that mindset behind you, and like overcoming that, like just getting to a point and being like, you know what? We're going to own everything from here,
Right.
you know?
And
So
what was the
that took place is a couple days after that sentencing, I was supposed to go to a program that was like literally 5 minutes up the road. So it's like, instead of getting shipped to a program 5 minutes up the road, I got shipped 5.5 hours up the road to prison. Okay, so I wasn't supposed to be sentenced to state time. I was supposed to be sentenced to county time, or in Louisiana, which is where I'm from, parish time. It's the only state that's got parishes. So anyway, I get there, and like a few days after I was there, I get the shit kicked out of me by a guard. I like not just kicked, I get beat, I get sprayed, I like with mace and all this stuff. I lost vision in my eye for a while. I was like, just, it was a really bad situation. So after the situation, I was like, I never want to put my life in somebody else's hands like that again. The only time that I'm comfortable with my life being in somebody else's hands is in combat with my brothers and sisters.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't want to put my life in somebody else's hands, especially not in that situation, because generally they don't have the empathy for you or compassion for you, because in their eyes, you're just a fuck up. You know what I'm saying? In that situation, in that facility, I'm not saying that it's like that in every facility. I'm not saying that all people are like that. I'm just saying in that particular situation,
right,
because jail did turn my life around. It did help me become a better person. You can either become a institutionalized and want to live that way forever, Or you can take those situations and be like, and realize I never want to be in that again. And then take ownership of your life and do the necessary steps, take the necessary steps to go forward and improve that.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of like, that's the situation, that kind of like that switch in this 6-month period is when that switch really flipped of like, I'm meant for something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? While I was locked up, it's whenever I refound my passion for reading. While I was incarcerated, that's the freest I have ever been in my life. While I was locked up, you're literally not going anywhere, have no, I mean, I don't want to say no access to the world, but you have a very minimal access to the world, but the books were my access to whatever I wanted to be, read, feel, and think about, so I read some really good books in there that helped me develop a better mindset. It was like very minimal time that I was actually inside those walls because I read that much. And I would talk to guys, and I like the whole time that I was in there, I'm like, man, I don't want to say the whole time, but like in that last half of the 3 months, I was telling people I was meant for more than this. I'm going to get out and I'm going to do something with my life. I don't want to come back. I don't want to.